Good evening, everybody, and welcome to PSGL Season 26. This is the final round of the season, and we are here in Interlagos for the Brazilian Grand Prix. My name is Jess, and joining me for the final time in PSGL F2 for a while, we've got Dan. Hello, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, but you know what? There's a little feeling of sadness that we are ending the season here in Brazil. Of course, the brilliant circuit has seen so many great finales in real F1. Hopefully we can have another one of those. No championships on the line, so they're all just going to be racing for fun. Of course, last time Tomato, he picked up the championship, so well done to him. And I believe Williams 2 rounds ago picked up the Constructors' Championship, so great job to that team there. But it's going to be a weird one tonight, knowing that we won't be here next week.
Yeah, it is, because always at the end of the stream we'll say, see you next week for the blah-de-blah Grand Prix, but we're not going to say that. So, but oh well, a little bit of information about the track. We are here in Interlagos, which is 4.3 kilometres long, 15 turns, 5 to the left, 10 to the right. 2 DRS zones here tonight, 1 at the start finish straight and 1 after turn 3 at the S26. There's always drama at Brazil. Hopefully we won't see some drama tonight. It's a special track, which I hope remains on the calendar for many times to come, and the strategy tonight could prove to be very interesting. But let's give you confirmation as to how the championship standings fared. The top 2 positions have been confirmed. Tomato wins the championship, as Dan said, and we can confirm that Ferrari are the runners-up in the Constructors. So Williams are the Constructors' champions, Ferrari are the runners-up. Those are the only 2 places that are confirmed. Everything else is up for grabs tonight. CT Brain moved up to 2nd place after his brilliant performance last week, after getting a win last week actually. Greeny in 3rd, we've got Faz in 4th, Will in 5th, Dario 6th, then it's Hadler, Lakitu, Pat, then it's name changer and Motti, who is now Simo, and it's Big C. It's Big C's last race tonight for a while. He's retiring for league racing for quite a bit, but who knows, we may see him back in the future. We got Ski Van, then it's M Short, who was reserved, Bugatti, Benny, and Compassion. And I'll quickly show you the Constructors at the end of the formation lap. But let's go straight to qualifying. And we got a 4 lobby, and that's a great way to end the final race of the season, isn't it?
Yeah, we've only got 1 reserve filling in tonight. Chappellin is coming in for Luke, so unfortunately Luke will not be picking up that point that he's been longing for so long in this season. I believe he's the only driver without a point. He did have some shining moments and some good overtakes throughout the season, but he just couldn't snatch at P10 to solidify at least 1 point. But hopefully Chappellin is going to carry his name on and score some decent points in his name. Of course, no constructors points coming back to the reserve, so already in their fight for whatever constructors position they are going to get, it won't be a good sign for them.
Yeah, and it's not a good sign for McLaren at the moment, as he has invalidated his lap times as Chappellini at the moment, so he'll probably have to go out again. The track temperatures are quite hot at the moment, really sunny in Interlagos. I'm trying to find someone that we can actually go on board with a lap. Let's go on board with Skivan, F2 veteran. It's his final league race in a while as well, and last time we came here in PSGL, he actually won in F2, and he did a really good job, and it was Black Phoenix in 2nd, Tim Wentig in 3rd. So will Skivan hold it on with a win tonight? Well, he's not going to go that far at the moment, as he's invalidated again. I've got to say, going through the S26 is a common place to invalidate, so these guys are better watch out as the qualifying session continues. But look at the times already. 106 is at the first attempt from Pat in pole position. We got Faz as well, who's back, and we got Dario, we got Kuratz as well, who's Lawrence, and CT Bray, last week's race winner, is on the top of the timing sheets, 106.522. He's got the most race wins out of the ones who are still left this season, and he is looking to solidify P2 in the Drivers' Championship.
Yeah, he's been really strong in the latter half of the season. I would go as far as to say he has been the most impressive in these last few rounds. Of course, 3 wins to his name this season. He took the first one of them in Japan, which wasn't even that long ago. So he's been really impressive. And if he was able to get the early season, just get more points in that, really, he would have been absolutely right up there with Tomato. We could have seen a championship fight go right down to the wire between them. But it was not meant to be, of course. He's had a really good season. I would be proud if I was CC Braden. He's going to be back next season, probably in the F2 tier as well.
Yeah, and don't forget, of course, F2 tier next season, it's no line, no assist at all. So for some of these guys, they will be running pretty much trying to attempt no line. And I heard rumours that Tomato was going to run no line tonight, but I'm not sure if he is, but I'll get confirmation as soon as possible. But tonight, I think it's a really good chance if you're in a position where you're not going to gain many positions in the championship. Why not try out no line tonight, see if it works, and that may solidify your place in F2 next season or even the top 10. I'm almost going to say that Tomato will probably go into F1 next season. It'll be a shock if he doesn't. Golan is just going on his outlap at the moment. Who else is about to cross the line? A lot of invalidations though, so most people are going out again, of course. Will was retired from the session. He didn't get a qualifying ban or anything, so I think he just pinned it on the wall or something. Not a great start to his final race, but starting at the back may not be a bad thing in Brazil, as turn 1 is a heavy braking zone, and we're about to go on board with Golan at this moment in time. So we're just going through turn 1 now into the centre S's now, and you just passed the first DRS zone, going into the next DRS zone, which is really, really prominent for overtaking, and you're just going to brake just after the 100 metre ball, go to the left apex, then to the right, and you're going to head towards turn 5 and 6, and a few people, if it was a team game, they would probably give the toe, but obviously you're not allowed to give the toe in the PSGL. Slipstream is banned, so that is people that be keeping an eye on. There's a few people that almost got caught in other tiers as well, but these guys have been behaving themselves, obviously, and you're now going towards the final part of the lap. We're going towards sector 3, going up the long uphill section. Jun Sao is the corner coming up here, and you go towards the final couple of corners. It's looking like a good lap for McGonan, and I didn't see what his sector 2 split was though, so I'll need to double check that in a moment. So here he goes, Gonan comes across the line, and it is a P7 for him. A really respectable lap time, and look at that, it's only pretty much 1/10 behind, I would say, the top, well, basically Chapalili. So top 10 separated by almost 2/10, or the top 8 I should say. That is close for the last race of the season. They're going full guns are blazing. It's like that they're fighting for a championship, but the championship is over, so it looks like they're here to have some fun tonight.
Yeah, it's good to see that even when all the motivation is gone at the end of the season, you just want to get on to the next one. It is really great to see that these guys are still coming out in full force. Chapalele ahead of CC Brain by 0.02 of a second. Really brilliant lap time from Lucas there. So he's always been good in qualifying. He just hasn't been able to translate that into a race, but maybe this could be a little bit of an ace up his sleeve. And there is Lawrence up to the top, completely breaking the sort of 2/10 that we had between the top 10 with the 106.4. Brilliant time from him. And Dario setting a 106.5. So as the track is getting more rubbered in there, Tomato also going to the top. I'm missing everyone on their laps, but as the track gets more rubbered in, more drivers lay down rubber, it is just going to get faster and faster. We could maybe, if we're lucky, see a 105.9.
You're going really bold with that prediction. I think we could just about see it if the times are improving like that. I haven't seen it in times I've been watching league races around Brazil, but I think these guys could potentially do it if they got nothing to lose. And what a good way would it be for Tomato to end his final race in F2 in season 26 with the race win. He couldn't do it in USA, but he did just about enough to clinch the title after securing P4, whereas Greeny, his rival, was way down at the back. He's at the back at the moment now, and in 18th, and Tomato's gone for a spin out of there. I'm trying to remember what corner it is. Let me just get the track map as I scroll all the way up. That is turn, I would say turn, it looks like turn 11, the middle of turn 11 at this moment in time. So he's going to have to go into the pits again. Dario has been called to the stewards last week, and he was very, very lucky after the reports from last week. He was awarded 2 license points and will serve a 5-second time penalty on his next event due to a collision with M. Short, one of the reserves. So I can't remember what lap it was, but I'm sure we did catch that incident on stream. So I think due to the fact Dario did retire, that is why there was a 5-second time penalty added to this event and 2 license points. So whatever time he will set at the end of this race, 5 seconds will be added on, and Dario's already at a disadvantage compared to the rest of the drivers here today.
Yeah, that is going to really hamper him, especially if he is in a fight for the win. It could really hurt him in the race in general. But we've got CC Brain moving on from the penalties. I would assume that is the only one, unless there's more.
That was the only penalty from the United States Grand Prix. There was no more. Everyone else was keeping it clean, or some people may have chosen to not report incidents, finding that there was a racing incident. CC Brain, I think, invalidated his lap before, so that's why he was red. Shapalele is going on a lap as well with 7 minutes left to go. These guys are going guns a-blazing pretty quickly already. There may be signs that we could see wet weather in Brazil. We've seen quite a lot in the earlier tiers this week, of course. A lot of tiers this week had championship deciders. We've got a couple actually going on right now with F4 and F5 championship deciders going on. And later on we got the F1 big championship decider as well. But we're not getting one here. The famous championship decider, of course, was Hamilton in 2008, where there is that Glock moment, just at this very corner, actually. But luckily, we're not going to see something like that. But we may see something like that for the likes of either CC Brain, Greeny and Faz, because I think those are the only 3 drivers that could realistically get P2 in the championship. They don't get any money, unfortunately. The winner of the F2 championship, Tomato, he gets some, I think it's £30 from Brutal Democracy, so I wonder what he's going to spend it on. Maybe a PS5 potentially, or something like that. I don't know what I would spend it on, but yeah, that's one thing I forgot to mention last week. They get F2 winner, get a prize from Brutal Democracy, and they sponsor our league, of course, PSGL.
I think a PS5 might be a little bit more than £30, more like
I was
450.
joking. I was joking. Putting something towards it, maybe, but we'll see.
Maybe, it'd be good to see Tomato returning to league racing on the PS5, of course, when, of course, F1 2021 will come out on the system. But you can play a lot of games on the PS5 from the PS4 port, so it could be really great to see if everyone shifts over to PS5. Speaking of Tomato, he is on a lap at the moment. He's currently second in the pecking order at the moment, just coming through the start of the second sector. He was a little bit up on his time through the first sector, and he's got a Alfa Romeo car just in front of him. That was, I believe, Dario just getting out of his way there, so good to see that they're all keeping it clean, not trying to get in their way. And now through this long, slow left-hander, you want a really short shift here because it is going to be heavy traction zone. And the famous corner where Albon was robbed of his first podium after contact with Hamilton. Looks like he's gotten through there nice and clean. And now through a corner, he can easily run a little bit wide, but he's seemingly okay on that one. He's a little bit down in this sector, so it's not going to be a time lighting the world up. I'll just lighten the timing screen up, really. But we'll see what he can do as he comes to light. Oh, come on. He's ruined it there. He's coming to the pit lane. He
ruined our hype, Dan. He ruined our hype. He was on a good lap, and I guess he was just not happy with it. He doesn't want to start the race on those tyres, I presume. But that's a shame. But he's second at the moment, and he's only need to find a 10th, and he's on pole position right now. And that's not looking very nice. Big C has left the session, but the corner cutting glitch is gone in in F1 2020, so he can join back, luckily. Thank goodness, so that's good. And I did see Faz go second in the timing sheets. Now it's Pat, so times are really coming through. Now Pat was a bit unlucky last week. He was on course to also be getting that elusive podium. The racing points were both doing really, really well until, unfortunately, both of them did a bit of a spin-ala. But Pat, like CC Brain, is having a stronger latter half to the season, getting more points, and he's in the top end of the grid in terms of the standings. Earlier on, for the first half, he was at the bottom half. Now he's in the top half. I mean, he wants to stay there, that's for sure. And being in P2 could just be the start of that. 6/100ths quicker than, well, slower than Shapalele. So he's on a lap now. He's still looking good, and I'm liking his helmet choice, by the way, as well. And some of these guys are still looking to stay in this tier this season with 3 minutes left to go. I think he's going into the pits. Yes, he's going into the pits. I was hyping over his lap for nothing. Benny, though, is on a lap, and I doubt he's going to make it to the pit in time. Luckily, Simo moves out the way for him, as most of these guys are going into the pits for the one final lap of PSGL season 26. They've got to get it right, and we've got to see who's going to be the fastest lap time. I can't remember what time it was set in F8, because that was the highest streamed here. So here comes Benny now. He comes across the line. I think he's probably going to go into the pits knowing me. But let's see anyway. Hopefully I haven't overhyped him for... I've overhyped him for nothing. So there he goes into the pits. And I think we're just waiting for a few people about to start their laps. Greeny and Kurat, the only two on out laps at the moment. And Greeny is in 5th place at the moment. So he's not in the back at this stage. So impressive so far. If he wants to be his teammate, he must be gutted that his teammate's ahead of him in the standings though.
Yeah, well, I guess CC Brain really just has picked it up, and Greeny hasn't really responded to that well. Has unfortunately lost 2nd position to his teammate, but maybe he can try and take that back this Grand Prix if that's not already decided. But he's just coming through on his out lap. We've got a couple guys on an out lap as well. Skeevan, I believe, invalidated at turn number 1 and number 2, so he's going to push again on this run by the looks of things, because he's already revving out the car, going 8th gear. He's definitely pushing on this one. Here he goes now, beginning his lap around Interlagos. We're looking at 1:06 around here, so really short lap. And Big C rejoining the session. I'm a little bit worried for him, considering he's actually left, I believe, twice now. So hopefully that doesn't affect him too much in the race.
Hopefully it doesn't on this final race, of course. But yeah, Skeevan, don't forget, he's used to winning here, and I think he wants some good luck, Skeevan, because he hasn't had... Oh, no, B. I just jinxed him. I absolutely jinxed him. I said he needs some good luck and he invalidates. But I think he could say to me, RS, go out again, but it's going to be not good for his tyres. But if it's raining at the start of the race, it's not going to be that detrimental for him. Now, looking at Skeevan's results, he's got a DNF the last 2 rounds. His best result for the second half of the season was P8 in Bahrain. And then he got a P5 in Spain and a P6 in Belgium. Apart from that, it's either been near the bottom or DNF. So I hope he wants to have fun around here, and he doesn't want to be near the bottom of the pile on his final race in F2 for a while. He's on 14 points in the standings. Luckily, he's not near the bottom anyway, but there was a few drivers behind him that haven't done the whole season, where Skeevan has. So is Skeevan going to go again, or is that going to be enough for Skeevan? Nope, he's going again. That's good news. Everybody is going out again for one final time, and Greeny is going very slowly for some reason, and so is the McLaren of Cedric as well. They're both going very slowly. So did they invalidate, or did they make contact with each other? I don't know, but I think that's their qualifying done.
Yeah, I'm a little bit confused as to what they're doing at the moment. Maybe they're trying to find a spot to do a practice start of sorts, but they're probably just keeping out the way at the moment of all the drivers moving on by. Greeny was on a run, then he just completely backed off. So yeah, that pretty much put an end to his qualifying. Big C is just going to make it to the line, I believe, with 10 seconds to spare, but we've got an Alfa Romeo just finishing off a lap. It's Compassion. He's a little bit off on his time, and he is at the bottom of the pile at the moment, where he goes 8 fastest with only a 2.5 improvement as the clock strikes at 0.
Wow.
He's had an almighty crash there.
Yeah, but luckily he wasn't going to do any more laps anyway, so a bit of a lead down. Pat goes on pole position with a 106.2. There's still quite a few people about to set his lap, quite a lot of people actually. We've got an AlphaTauri of Skeevan. He goes P9 in the standings, with next across the line, I believe it's Benny. Yep, it is Benny, who almost cut the pit lane there. He takes a short run to the line. It's looking really good. That puts him P16 though. Then we got one of the Renaults, and that's not Lakitu, that's Faz. Faz can only manage P3, whereas Lakitu has invalidated his lap time. So we've got one of the Ferraris. I'm trying to see what that is. CC Brain is also invalidated. And we got one of the Alphas. I think that's Dario. He invalidated as well. Quite a lot of people have invalidated their lap time. So I think it's just Big C about to finish his lap, and he goes P17. And Bugatti retires, and 2 people got wow, Tomato and Greeny got disqualified from the session. I wonder how that happened. But apart from that, the top 16 separated by 0.3 of a second, and the top 5 separated by not even a tenth. This kind of reminds me of F1 esports in a way, where they were this close. But on pole position, once again, it's the Racing Point, but it's not Chapalili this time. It is Pat on the final race of PSGL F2 season 26. Absolutely. Unfortunately, we couldn't get to the 1 minute 5s, but we may see it in PSGL F1 later, which you can check out straight after our stream, of course. But yeah, Pat, I'm not going to say too much about Pat because the last time I did, I jinxed him. So yeah, well done to Pat on his qualifying session.
Yeah, just look at how close all of these drivers are, Pat and Chapelele locking out the front row for the German country. And then, oh, look at that, all the way down in 12th to 15th, all the Germans lining up. But look at how close they are. Big C was 0.3 off and he was in 16th. Bugatti was a bit of an outlier in this one. He did invalidate early on, but Tomato and Greeny. Tomato, I don't know what happened to him. I joined quite late onto his POV. But we had Greeny completely just spin the car around and then drive backwards on purpose. So they're going to do a last to first of some sort.
Or maybe they did it on purpose. Maybe they did it on purpose because it's the last race of the season. I would have understand why Tomato would have done it, but not sure about Greeny if he wants to fight for P2 in the championship. But there you go. Probably he thinks he's not going to get it. And I'm just looking at the standings actually at the moment. CT Brain's on 83 points. Greeny's on 75 points. So the gap, if I do my maths correctly, is around about 8 or 9 points. It's very, very close indeed. If Greeny's right near the bottom and CT Brain's near the top, it's almost certain CT Brain's going to be P2. But if Greeny could outscore by about 9 or 10 points, then potentially Greeny could snatch P2 in the bag like he's had for a majority of the season, with Faz switching around as well. Faz is still also in this fight for P2, and potentially as well Will, and I think that's pretty much it. And we're about to get started with the race, and as we can see in our commentary box window, it is a nice sunny day. No rain is expected at the moment, but anything can happen in PSGL F2 like we've seen in pretty much most races this season at the first half where it was rain affected, but it is all sunshine and rainbows at the moment. And looking at the strategy, it's looking like it's going to be softer hards, going to be lasting around 9 to 12 laps. And then they're going to be lasting for 27 laps on the hard compound tyres. But we could see the aggressive people, people taking the more aggressive option and go for soft to mediums. I've seen it done before, but you've really got to manage your tyres effectively in order to do that, especially in these conditions. As I change scenes now, as everyone outside the top 10 has gone for the mediums. No one outside the top 10 has gone for the hards though. So looks like they are going for a more aggressive strategy, but it can be done. The mediums do last quite a bit around this circuit. I think we could see a lot of people on the softs go for the undercut. The ones on the softs, they have a flexibility of what tyres they go on for the next stint, whereas the ones on the mediums, they do have the flexibility, but ideally, I think the hards won't be the best option. Maybe go on the softs, but we'll have to wait and see. But it is from Gonnanan down to Greeny on the medium compounded tyres.
Yeah, well, that isn't even factoring in any potential safety cars that we could see in this race. Of course, this circuit is quite close and quite small. It's actually not very wide, so it's quite hard to make overtakes without making a little bit of contact. So maybe we could see a safety car. Hopefully no one ends up retiring and we can have a clean race all the way to the end, filled with action. But, you know, it is almost inevitable. We have seen a lot of safety cars around here, so I do think we are probably going to see one around this circuit.
Yeah, almost certainly. I've seen that in the other tiers this week as well, pretty much in most of the tiers this week. So I think if we don't see one in PSGL F2, then it's going to be a miracle. So I think safety car strategy could come into effect. That's probably why people outside the top 10 opted for the medium strategy, probably thinking that there is going to be a safety car going on at this moment in time. But we shall see. Anything can happen, as I said. So we're about to start the final race of season 26. Can you believe that? In just a few weeks' time, we'll find out who's going to be in PSGL season 27 in the top 3 tiers as well, which is going to be very, very exciting. I think November 23rd, I think, is when it's going to be announced. So it's not long at all. But anyway, the 5 red lights are on. The final race of season 26 in Brazil is go. And it is a good start from Pat. Also a good start from Chapelele as well. And unfortunately, it is ghosted. And yes, they all make it through past turn 1. And we're looking towards the back of the field. I think no problems there so far as they all make it through. The sweeping Senna S's trying to gain some ground early on in this race. We can see Will getting a good start as well, as Will's going to try and get past Bugatti into turn 4 without DRS. Obviously DRS is disabled in this lap. He is in the back, but he's already gaining ground already as well. Dario up into 3rd place, and Name Changer up into 5th place as well. Bit of banging wheels at the back as well. Greeny and Tomato not as gaining as we would have liked, but Tomato is going to try and go for a sweep past Will, but unfortunately could not quite do it. But pretty clean so far from all 20 cars at this stage.
Yeah, it was a brilliant start by everyone's standards, and now Tomato trying to make it by Will. There's a little bit of lag between the pair of them, but now through the fast left-hander, they're going to go side by side here, and somehow they have not had any contact at all. Will's going to have to back off on that one, let Tomato back through, as I believe all the deltas are a little bit glitched at the moment, but Greeny's had a really brilliant start. He's up behind Bugatti at the moment. I believe Dario has just made a move for the second, unless that's more desync. Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. He's made the move. Actually, no, it's not. It's 3rd place because Chapalili's in front of him. So I wish it was a move for 3rd position, but it's not. But he was close to getting it. He was trying to get the move past that, and I think the deltas are glitched, like we said. So I do apologise if you see positions moving up and down, which we thought we were going to see. But yeah, you can see Dario's gaining a few tenths per sector at this moment in time, gaining a bit on the corners. Whereas I think Chapalili's got a bit of a straight line speed as well. We don't know what setup these guys are bringing to this Grand Prix, but hopefully these guys can keep it under wraps. Now don't forget, these guys, Pat and Chapalili, were P1 and 2 in USA before trouble ensued, but they were a different way around, and looks like that they're still going to stay like this for moments to come. And we're not on lap 3, by the way, we're on lap 2, so we'll be going on to lap 3 very, very shortly. We're still seeing some more moves in the background, as we can see Compassion having a really good start, as well as Pat saying the fastest lap of this Grand Prix so far. No one is able to make moves into turn 1 yet, but I can see people trying to make the moves on this DRS zone coming up for you right here and right now. Let's see who's the closest. I think the closest would be Cedric and Skivan as they make it past into turn 4. They're all very, very close, but due to the fact that they all got DRS, they can't make the move. It's just so overpowering on this track at the moment. So things stay as they are at the moment.
Yeah, well, Pat really is just a couple of tenths too clear for Chapalili's liking. You really do have to be close to actually make a move to DRS. Through towards turn number 4 of the Retro Apostle, it's not actually that easy to make an overtake. It's not the longest of straights. Realistically, through Jonestown, just the end of that corner, up towards the start of the Center S's, is where you can make your overtakes. And Chapalili, he is right up to the back of him. 5 tenths is the gap at the moment between him and Pat. Now that's just staying consistent at the moment, but DRS activated for the McLaren car. This should bring him closer. Maybe not close enough to make a move through the first corner, but you can see the fastest lap already begin to crawl out. He's managed to pull a gap down to 2 tenths, just over 2.5 tenths. Now it's back up to 3, so it is quite difficult to follow at some points in this circuit. It's now open to the DRS once again. He's just that little bit too far back, but he is definitely reading him in every corner, really, just that little bit more.
Yeah, definitely. We saw Dario gaining a few tenths to Chapalili that lap as well, as Dario actually got the fastest lap of the race so far. So Chapalili and Dario are really, really pushing for the early part of the race, but it may not do good with their tyres. Some of these guys may be saving a bit of tyre life for towards the end of the first stint, when they can really start to gain position, because don't forget, most of these guys will be keeping on those soft tyres for around about 16 laps, which is the tyre life for these tyres. You can't go more than 16 laps here in optimum pace, otherwise you could go into puncher territory. So let's see how Chapalili is getting closer this lap. He's got a really good run going towards the start finish straight, but Dario not as much. So let's watch Chapalili then. Pat is trying to cover to the left-hand side into turn 1. If you're in the inside around here, as I find quite a few times in open lobbies and in a few other leagues, sometimes it could cost you a few positions, because you may go into a spin, but luckily Chapalili found that out early on. So here we go, and then Chapalili with the DRS. Can he get the move past Pat? No, not quite. Don't think he's going to get the switch back though, going towards turn 5, but this is incredible racing between Pat and Chapalili. Chapalili is a reserve, for goodness sake, and it looks like the way he is driving, it looks like he can become full-time in the league next season, which is great to see. He hasn't got a full-time seat for season 26, but since he's raced more than 2 races this season, if he does sign up, then obviously he won't get to do an evaluation race, which he's probably relieved about as well. But yeah, oh, we got a yellow flag on. Golonen ends his final race of PSGL F2 Season 26 with a retirement. And as we said earlier on, we could see a safety car. There is a safety car. Now, what are these drivers going to be doing now? Because I don't have a clue.
Yeah, well, we're just going to have to watch Pat see what he does. The medium should be okay to stay out. Oh, it looks like he's actually tried to dummy everyone, and it looks like they're all going to stay out, I believe. Name changer is really the only driver to buy it and come into the pit lane. Why not risk it? It's the last race of the season. I believe Skeev and Cedric, a couple of guys are coming into the pits as well. We've got the medium runners, interestingly enough, also coming in, but such a shame for Golonen. A rotten end to a rotten season for him. Hopefully, if he is back next season, he can have a better run than he has, because it has just been such bad luck for a lot of the races, and that really is just I would say cherry on top, but it really is nothing sweet about that.
Yeah, it's definitely sorrow for him. The only points finishes he had was in Hungary, Bahrain and Canada. That was it. All the rest were DNFs or P13s or P15s. He got the most DNFs out of everybody this season, so a bit unfortunate there, but season 27 is not that long. It's actually only like 3 weeks away, believe it or not. It starts at the beginning of December, so they get a little bit of a break just to recuperate and try and find some time, maybe try and find some improvement. Greeny, interestingly enough, is on the softs. Now, I wonder if he's meant to do that. I guess it's the last race of the season for him, he realises, and said, you know what, if I want to take some gambles, why not take the risk here on the final race? You've got nothing to lose. He is lagging a bit on my screen for me, but hopefully it's not for the drivers though. But yeah, I think since majority of the guys have pit outpace to the safety car, I think it's going to be one more lap before the safety car comes in. Not many people pitted. The only people pitted were name changers, Skeeven, Cedric, Hadler, Big C, Greeny and Benny. Everybody else has stayed out. Only, I think the majority of the people that have pitted were actually, it was half, I was just going to say, half of the medium runners and a few of the soft runners. So that is very, very interesting.
Yeah, swapping onto the hard tyres, they'll definitely be able to make it to the end. We'll be resuming racing probably on lap 8 as Benny just rejoins to the back. But something interesting about season 27, if I'm not mistaken, we're actually going to be going into the races a little bit blind because, well, we've been at the last event of the sort of PSGL week. So everyone else would have done their races before, you know, F10, F11 and all of the tiers on the Sunday. They do their races before the top 5 tiers. That's actually going to change now in season 27, and I think it is actually the case that we'll be the first. That is F1 to 5, and if we are doing F1, F2 next season, we'll be a little bit blind in that one, and we won't be able to go off the other races.
Oh, that is interesting. I think they did that last season as well, where they were the last. Well, F1 and F2 were the last for season 23, but then in season 24 they switched, so they were the first, and then in season 25 they were the last again, and then were the last in this season as well. So I think they just switch it by every season, but in a way I can see it as a good thing. But I'm intrigued to find out what's going to happen with that one, because I know a few of the guys in obviously the higher tiers like to watch the lower tiers during the week so they get an idea on strategy. But yeah, they'll definitely be going blind on the strategy every week now due to us going first. But here we go, safety car is in this lap, so Pat is the technical safety car at the moment, so he's going to control the pace as we go towards the final corner. Now he is weaving his tyres. He wants to get as much heat into them as he possibly can. As the tyres do get cold, the ones on the hard tyres, they need to warm them up as quick as they possibly can. But Pat has got an early launch there. Don't forget, you're not allowed to overtake until the start-finish line, which everyone seems to be following so far. Pat's got a good start, so is Chapalili and Dario as well. What about the back of the grid? No change so far, apart from Tomato. Tomato's all the way up into P11 of this race and is chasing down Bugatti as well. Don't forget, DRS is not enabled yet until a few laps after the safety car, so possible chance for people to take a bit more risk. Greeny on the softer tyres gets past Hadler up into P16. His next chance is getting past Cedric for P15, and a majority of these guys will probably be saving fuel and ERS during the safety car period, so they can actually go full throttle before most of these guys go to the pits. But look at this, Greeny going for a move on our right-hand side. There he goes, Greeny up into P15. Wow, that was an incredible move for him. But he was on the softs though. He wants to take the risk, and you know he's not going to lose that much if he does take a bit of a gamble. And there you go, he's up into P15, and his next spot is Skivan in P14.
Yeah, but he's had a really good restart, making up 3 positions ever since the safety car came back in. One of them was before the safety car line on Big C, so that was a little bit naughty, but I wouldn't expect Connor to report him for that one. But yeah, he's just striking while the iron is hot. Everyone else on the hards is going to be on the colder tyres, and I thought there was a bit about him going off the circuit. It's just a big, just load of lag. But yeah, he's striking while the iron's hot. His tyres just coming up to temperature. He'll be absolutely rapid as already on the exit of the centre S's. He's going to go up the inside of Skivan in towards turn number 4, and that is P14 for the Ferrari driver. Doing a lot better than the Ferrari drivers last season, that is for sure.
Yeah, I can't remember where the Ferrari drivers finished last season in the Constructors' Championship.
I mean in real F1 at Brazil.
Oh, right.
In 2019.
Yeah.
That's a bit lost in translation there.
Yeah, sorry about that. But yeah, I've got to agree there. The Ferraris, unfortunately, in real life actually crashed into each other. But this time, they're a little bit further apart. CC's Rain up in 9th position, Greeny in 14th. And obviously, we said earlier on in the stream, Ferrari are confirmed 2nd in the Constructors. In real life, we don't even know Ferrari's going to get 3rd. They're probably going to get 5th or 6th or something. So, you know, worlds have changed in a way in real life. DRS has been enabled. Schiappellini now 3 tenths behind Pat, now 4 tenths. This could be his move. I know Pat is he's really pushing. He's got the straight line speed that he could possibly need going towards turn 3 and into turn 4. But Schiappellini decides to stay behind for now. What about the other cars near towards the back of those? We've got Lakitu in 8th position at the moment, trying to find some time to get past Compassion, but again, he's a little bit further back at this stage. Nobody has got a big gap towards everybody, so I think apart from Pat, everyone's going to get DRS, which if I was Pat, I'd be worried, but if I was everybody else, that would be a big relief. But some of these guys are in danger of losing that DRS, so they've got to push as hard as they possibly can, especially when it's not that long before the pit stop. So Kitu is out of DRS. Well, he was out of DRS. Now he's got back into DRS. So he's on the cusp at the moment. So he's got to get a move on.
Yeah, well, back in the look for the lead, Schiappellini is using his DRS. He's not close enough to utilise any of his DRS to really launch an attack on Pat. But if he could just get a good run through the centre S's, that is going to be his main priority at the moment, and he seems like he's done that pretty much perfectly. He stayed right onto the back of Pat, and this is probably going to be his best opportunity for the time being, but he's just not going to push. He wants to stay behind, does Schiappellini. Just use Pat as a little bit of slipstream, bring him along, and so he doesn't have to stress out the tyres too much. Probably going to try and extend it so he can get the medium tyres later on in the Grand Prix, which is going to bring him to the end. Tomato is on the back of Bugatti at the moment, of course, the new F2 champion and the old season 25 F2 champion, of course, coming together at the same
season 24. 24. Yeah, 24 for Tomato and 26 for Tomato. Oh yeah, 25 for Bugatti, sorry. It's the last race, guys. That's my excuse.
Yeah, well, he is right up to the back of him. Could maybe try and launch an attack soon enough. And Schiappellini just not getting close enough. He's losing out in the second sector, which really does screw him over for the run up towards the line. And then, of course, turn 4, where he just can't get close enough to make an overtake.
Yeah, indeed. We're starting to see more moves here. Pat Schneider, a little bit of a lock-up, which will probably gain a bit of time to Schiappellini in second place. Davio is well catching as well, so we'll have to wait and see if he can go for the move when he can as well. I think he's just going to sit there, just wait for the opportunity to unfold, because remember what happened to Pat and Schiappellini last week. He can feel the senses, I would say, and Davio is definitely having a better race than he was last week. Unfortunately, wherever he finishes, he's going to have added 5 seconds added to his race time due to the incident he had last week, which is a bit of a shame because he's having a good race so far, but he wants to have some fun anyway, so just bear that in mind when looking at the results. Dario will be 5 seconds added to the end of his race time at the end of this race, but he's doing very well catching to Schiappellini, trying to get rid of that deficit as early as he can.
Yeah, someone else that I've found is doing well at the moment is Faz. he's in fourth position at the moment, which is really good to see. In the latter part of the season, he's really, I don't mean to be crude, but he has dropped off a bit, Dario, coming into the pits. But Faz has really just looked like a bit of a wingless crow and a fish out of water. There's Chapelelli trying to go for around the outside at turn of one. He's actually got the inside line for the next part of the corner, and now they're going to run side by side onto the straight. And it actually looks like Pat has got the DRS. So Chapelelli really did not time his overtake well, because Pat is able to stay ahead of his fellow countrymen for first and second.
Well, there are a few tracks on this game where the DRS zones are very, very quick into session, Baku being one of them as well, and obviously in Brazil and Austria too. So for some of these tracks, if I were you, maybe try and stay behind going into turn one, and then just after, the second DRS range going into centre S's into turn 3 and 4, I think that's where you want to have the DRS, because that is where you can get the overtake done, and that's what Pat was doing. Pat, I think, was staying behind Chapelelli going into, Chapelelli tried to get past into turn 1 and 2. Pat did not want him to get P1, so he had the DRS and was able to breeze past him. Meanwhile, Pat goes into the pit, Chapelelli stays out. The undercut is so OP on this game. I wonder what Pat is going to do. We are in the pit window. I wonder what Pat is going to be going on to at the moment. Dario and Simo and Kuraks on the mediums, as well as Compassion. I think we've got Pat doing exactly the same thing, and he does. So we'll have to wait and see how that's going to affect him and Chapelelli. Will the undercut work? We've seen it work in a few other tiers on this track, so I think maybe Pat's done the right thing, but the pit loss is around about 18 to 19 seconds around this track, so it's a bit bigger compared to other tracks, but not as big as some tracks. There's a few tracks which are like 24 seconds, like Silverstone, so they're not going to lose that chunk of time. But the Kitu, though, he's not that far behind his teammate. He's losing a bit of ground due to him being on the mediums, but Luku's catching him. Last week's race winner, CC Brain, and we got a yellow flag. And unfortunately, that's Skivan in 14th place, who's had a bit of a spinala going into, I think it's turn 9 and 10 into turn 11, and his tyres are not liking it at all. It must be really, really hot right now due to the fact they're using no traction, but he's keeping going right now, and Pat has got to get past him at the moment. Luckily, Pat did all he can to try and avoid that. Pat has got to get past the traffic very, very quickly, because he knows that Chapelelli and Faz will be pitting soon. But Chapelelli and Faz, looks like both of them are going for the overcut strategy. They're pitting a few laps later than I thought it was going to be. I thought they were going to go straight after Pat, but no, it looks like they're going for the overcut.
Yeah, well, it looks like Skivan, is he going to retire? I think he is, just getting his front wing changed. So it's good to see that he's not going to give up in his final race. And just looking at his season results from in season 25, it is really a sad story to see how it's all changed in season 26. You can fan the flame as much as you want, but unfortunately it will go out eventually. And unfortunately for Skivan, he's the longest reigning F2 driver, and it's good to see him going out, not going to give up. He's going to go out with a fight.
Yeah, he is, of course. That was a track where he took his last win in PSGL F2, and he wants to keep it that way and try and score, even just finish a race will be better than nothing, and you can only get better. And looks like this game is not suiting Skivan in a way, but at least he's still having some hope in a way. There may be other people making mistakes, there may be other safety cars, but here we go. Chapelelli going into the pits, Fazzo staying out. So let's watch Pat then as they go towards turn 1. Chapelelli just going into the pit exit, and it's going to be close, I think, compared to it, just by, I think, no, it's not even close actually. Scrap that. It's about a few seconds. So I have to say the undercut did work for the Racing Point driver, and I'm a bit worried about Faz. He's leaving on those softs for a bit longer than intended. I think he's going to drop down major positions. But look at Dario though. Dario pitted before everybody, before Pat and Chapelelli, and got ahead of Chapelelli. He's jumped Chapelelli, so Dario, a very good pit stop from him, but unfortunately he didn't get the jump on Pat though.
Yeah, they were actually having a little bit of a skirmish whilst we were talking about Skivan. I believe for a brief moment Dario was ahead of the German, but he managed to get back by, did Pat. And now the last of the soft runners who started on the Red Bull tyres is coming to the pit lane. There's Lawrence, unfortunately, around at that is the centre.
Yellow flag.
He's having a really poor day today, unfortunately, way off the pace at the moment. As we'll see where Faz comes out in relation to his main rivals in this Grand Prix, and it is not even going to be a contest between them, as you can see how far behind he is actually going to come out at the moment. Wow, the undercut really has worked for everyone else.
Yeah, it definitely has as well. And we're going to see how can Chapelele do on those fresher tyres compared to Pat and Dario, which I think is really going to benefit Chapelele at the end of this race, because obviously he can push a bit more towards the end, whereas Pat and Dario have got to be a little bit more conservative, I've got to say. But Pat is ending the season well at this moment in time, but we still got almost half race distance to go. We're almost at 50% race distance done. Not quite though. We've still got 2 more laps before we reach that. We'll be at the end of lap 18, and then we would have reached that as well. But you can see Chapelele trying to force other people to a mistake, and unfortunately Lorenz, also known as Kurat, has retired from the session. I think he has retired from the pit lane. I think he's had enough by the looks of things, Dan.
Yeah, really sad to see how he ends his season. Of course, I retired from my final race in F10 this season, a lot earlier than I would have hoped. It was even before the first corner, but we'll go back to F2, because whilst all these guys on the mediums are pitted, they're actually not the leaders of the race. The current race leader is Name Changer. He doesn't need to make another pit stop. Go to the end. Whether or not he finishes in that position is up to how Pat, Dario and Chapelele utilise these tyres. But if they fight too hard, these guys sitting in 11th, 12th and 13th, they're really going to kill their tyres, have no momentum towards the end. So they do have to be cautious of that and just work together almost to catch up to Benny, Big C and Hadler, all of the guys on the hard tyres that they can pick off quite easily and make up the positions.
Yeah, definitely. The hard tyres last, if I look at my strategy image very quickly, it lasts about 27 laps. So these guys will definitely should be able to make it to the end of this race. But don't forget the mediums.
That is CC Brain and Will, both coming off to take a new set of tyres. It's going to be the softs to go to the end. 16 laps. They're going to be pushing it, but I think they can make it stick. They probably could have gone a couple more laps, but I definitely think they're going to try and make the undercut strategy work. Meanwhile, Name Changer picking off one of the medium runners of Bugatti, who's going to begin to struggle with the tyres at this moment in time. Probably will need to come into the pits sooner rather than later before he punctures those tyres. But let's talk about Big C. Of course, currently running 7th. He doesn't need to make another pit stop. But what a legacy he's had in PSGL, and if this truly is his final race in PSGL, if he doesn't make a return like we weren't expecting, he probably will come back for season 28 or 29 just for the lols. But yeah, it's great to see him going out with a bang in F2.
Well, obviously he'll be still managing the league. He'll also still be managing his esports team as well. So he'll still be doing stuff behind the scenes. So I don't think it's the end for Big C. Do not worry, you'll still see him around managing everybody, making sure everybody does their jobs correctly as well. So Big C, he's got a point to prove, but if he finishes where he is, that would be a really good result for him if he carries on like that. He's got to make sure he pushes his tyres to the end, but we've seen CC Brain with hardly any penalties went on to take the win without the alternate strategy, so it can happen for Name Change to get a second win as well. Cedric on his could be on for his best finish as well. And don't forget, McLaren are in last in the pecking order in the Constructors' Championship. McLaren having a good season in real life, but not in a PSGL F2, 26 points. And then Red Bull with 41 points. So we've got Groningen in last place. Obviously, they won't be getting any points. By the way this is going, it won't make a difference anyway, because obviously Red Bull will still be ahead of them. But at least Cedric is doing all he can to try and gain some points in the Constructors, to not be in the 20s for a little bit longer. But he's trying to catch up to Name Changer, and this is where the strategies are really going to come into play. Everybody's on different strategies. We've got 5 lots of people on the mediums, we've got 5 lots of people on the hards, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people on the soft. This is going to be a mixed bag race. I don't know who's going to win this one. It's going to be about who can get their tyres to the end.
Yeah, well, Faz, meanwhile, making up the position on Chapelele. That could be crucial later on in the Grand Prix. They really don't want to be fighting at this point in the Grand Prix, but they are not making too many inroads on Benny up ahead. 5.6 is the gap, and they've got 15 and a half laps or so to actually make up that deficit. It is doable by any means, but when you think about it, it is a lot harder to overtake a car than to catch up. So it might be an even more of a struggle to make that work. As they might just have to fight for the positions they're in. But really, it was just a race where if you were on pole, you weren't going to win it with the safety car coming out.
Yeah, definitely. I think Pat was not going to hope for a safety car, and when he got the safety car, I think he was a bit down on himself. But at least he's still going to get some points. Nonetheless, the race is far from over. You never know. The ones on the hards could struggle towards the end, and the ones on the mediums can come through. There could be another safety car. And if I was people from the top 10, I think literally everybody would be going on the soft compounded tyres. But how many soft tyres will they have left? Meanwhile, we've got two battles happening. We've got Faz going on for a move from Dario into turn one as well. Someone almost going into the grass there at this moment in time. But we can see Dario really starting to put the hammer down on the Pat. He's really got the raw speed compared to Pat at the moment. Consistency is key. Not making the move as of yet, but he's gaining consistent lap times compared to Pat at this stage. So Dario is on the charge to try and get rid of that deficit. Tomato, on the other hand, is getting the move past the key two. Tomato is up into 12th place, and we've got yellow flag, and it's Will who's just had a spin in turn 4. So he's down into 16th place. So the AlphaTauri boys are not having a good day, are they?
No, well, Will luckily kept out of the wall. I'd assume it was on the exit of turn number 4, which is really easy to lose the car if you just get over it too much on the exit curve. But really unfortunate for Will that he's going to have to end the season this way. Race winner, of course, in season 26. So he's done really well for himself, being promoted from F3 up to F1. Meanwhile, back at the front, Cedric is actually going to have a look at name changer at the moment, but he just lost a little bit through the Senna S's. Using the DRS, he's not got much ERS to play with, neither does name changer, so it's going to be mostly on raw power, this fight between the pair of them. But 2 tenths is the gap now coming out of turn number 4. It looks like he's actually got a worse off run, has Cedric, to name changer, as they're just going to stick behind each other and try and fight for as long as they can and break away maybe from Hadler and Big C behind, because they are not out of it at all either. So maybe we could see Big C win in his final race in F2. That'd be great to see.
I think everybody would want Big C to win his final race in PSGL F2. That would be a great story. I think Big C will be talking about it for weeks, I've got to say, if that happens. And I think literally anyone could win this race because they're all so close. I mean, the only one person that could not win, unfortunately, is the ones that retired and Skivan, unfortunately. Everybody else still has a mathematical shot of winning this race. That's how close it is at this stage. But CC Brain, unfortunately, I don't think he's going to get past Chapelele yet, but I think he's getting a few attempts on Chapelele. I think a few seconds, actually. So this could be the moment where CC Brain could go for the win. I'm just looking at the gap to the leader. The gap between Name Changer and CC Brain, 10 seconds. Can he gain 10 seconds in, well, almost 10 laps? He's got a lot of cars to pass. It's going to be trickier than last week, but, you know, we've seen people like Greeny LFC get past a few cars on a different strategy with ease. So we'll have to wait and see, of course. But CC Brain is not getting what we would have liked, but we shall find out as the session progresses. And, you know, whoever wins this final race is going to leave on a high, knowing that they've worked so hard for the final race. And that's going to help the momentum going into next season. Because if you win the final race of the season, that's going to basically give you confidence that you may have a shot of the championship next season, whatever tier you go into next season for season 27.
Yeah, getting a win regardless is just so confidence boosting. I remember when I got my first win, I was riding that high for maybe a week or two. But yeah, it was really great. If you can get a win, then why not go for it? Because Name Changer could be in a really good position. He's actually been quite impressive. He's not been the most consistent driver, Name Changer. And at the start of the season, I used to think he was sort of Mr. 9th place, because he always liked being just inside that top 10. Nowhere, not really fighting up the front too much, but he really has broken that duck for me. So yeah, he's done really well for himself in this season in the latter stages. Look at Chapelele trying to find a gap on the outside to Faz. I don't think you're going to make any room there, Shap. You could have gone to the inside, but he just likes the outside line. He's actually got a really good run coming up the hill towards turn number 5, and there was a touch. And he's just trying to find a gap that really isn't there. There was room on the right-hand side of the Brazilian, so I don't really know what Chapelele is thinking here. I get it. I understand it's more stylish to go around the outside, but losing all this time to CC Brain behind is just not what you want to do. You're going to end up losing both positions. So, stick your finger out and just go for a move.
Yeah, I think Chapelele, you saw he was going side by side with Pat earlier on in the race as well, into turn 1 and a few other corners as well. So he's the one who likes to take risks. Unfortunately, some of his risks in the last race did not pay off, but it seems to be paying off a little bit more in this race so far. So you never know what could happen towards the end of this race. Chapelele on course to getting some points right now at this stage. Faz also was looking strong at the first half of the season, hasn't been quite strong towards the end. Skiven unfortunately getting a 3-second time penalty as look at this Chapelele trying to defend from CC Brain on those pressure softs. CC Brain has probably either listened to the stream or has had a response from Jeff saying you need to push, and he is pushing right now on these guys. So I think from Chapelele to I think the racing point of Pat. So CC Brain could potentially be on course to potentially get either one of these, but his first chance is to get Chapelele. I think he might be just waiting until any of these guys make a mistake at the moment.
Yeah, well, trying to overtake in a train is really difficult regardless. So CC Brain really has to rely on the superior grip coming out the corners. And unfortunately, he's just not utilising that enough as 4/10 of the gap at the moment. Those soft tyres won't last forever against the cars in front of him. And those medium tyres will still be in decent working condition, so it's only a matter of completing the laps before the medium tyres are going to be at the same level as the Red Bull soft tyre. I'm not sure what compound number they are, but they are, I actually don't remember. I believe it's the harder of the C1, C2, 3, C3, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, that's the one. You got it right. Yeah, it is the hardest compounds that Pirelli are bringing into the races this weekend, which I've got to say, that's probably why that these guys could go on to the mediums for a little bit longer, because if it was a step compound higher, then there was no way they could have got those mediums to the end.
Yeah, that is true, to be fair. You just kind of have to think of it in context as to what the strategy actually is. It's more the compounds that they bring that decide the strategy rather than the track itself. So that is something to keep in mind in future. Coming on to lap 29, CC Brain just not got enough laps to really do it. Meanwhile, just up ahead in the 8th and 7th, Faz is right up to the back of Dario. Faz has really burnt up pretty much all of his ERS trying to catch up to Dario. He's been saving it up, sticking behind Pat for a number of laps now, and could probably use it to pounce anytime soon. Doesn't look like he's close enough on this occasion, and it actually looks like Faz could be pressurising the Italian here, and they're all just going to remain in formation up until turn number 4, just for the next lap at least. And a little bit of a correction there from Dario, lost some momentum. Don't think it'll affect him too badly up the hill.
Nah, I don't think so for Dario. He's got a point to prove, obviously, as well. He was getting closer a few laps ago, couldn't quite do it though, but maybe he's just saving a little bit of energy for the final few laps. I think we're going to get a really good instalment of some great battles to end PSGL F2 with. I can already predict that at this moment in time. I think that's how close everybody is. The only people that have made mistakes are the ones near the back, and we've got Simo and CC Brain going for a move. CC Brain is going to potentially get P10. I think there was no challenge there. There's Tomato as well. And we got yellow flag, and that's Simo going for a spin into towards Jung Sao. That is a shame for the Williams driver. But again, Williams drivers have nothing to lose. They won the Constructors. Simo's probably going to keep going. We've got a few people having a few battles as well. Chapelele spun. Chapelele, I think, touched, I can't remember who he touched, but he caught one of the cars. I think it was one of the Alpha Towers. No, it was Faz, actually. It wasn't one of the Alpha Towers, it was Faz. So, yeah, that put Chapelele down the order. What a shame for him. This could have ended so well for him to put his season 27 campaign off to a head start, but at least he can learn his lessons from what has been a really good debut season as a reserve driver for him, as Simo gets past him as well. But looking at your race leaders though, Name Changer still leads by 6/10 of a second to Hadlow in third. Big C in fourth place. Don't forget Big C disconnected a few times in qualifying. Looks like he's not having much problems at the moment, which is great to see. I think his internet is all a-okay at this stage. Touch wood. I've got to touch wood, because otherwise I'm going to end up jinxing it. Haller's looking good in P3. I've underestimated Haller these last few races. Haven't talked much about him. Haller's done very well last race as well. I believe he was one of the drivers, if I not mistaken. He actually got a podium. He got P2 last race. And he's the one who's prone to getting less penalties. So if he can keep up to this train, and if he can ask Jeff Boyd's penalties is, then he could still be on course to getting the race win. Meanwhile, CC Brain gets another move past Tomato on those fresher soft tyres, and it was inevitable. Chapelele retires in the pit lane.
Unfortunate from the German. Really could have been a great race for him, but he was going for a gap that was never really going to open up. He was trying to hang it around the outside at the centre S's, and then it would have been the inside line for him, but you just can't run to abreast of that corner. Hasn't worked out for him, and of course it's put an end to his Grand Prix by his own discretion. Don't know what is happening with CC Brain, not CC Brain, sorry, I'm getting the Ferraris mixed up. Greeny might be waiting for Skivan just so they can have a little bit of a race, maybe give a final send-off to Skivan. Nice touch if that is the case, or maybe it's just two friends want to have a laugh.
Or, because it's the final race, they've got nothing to lose. Greeny's not going to get second place. Skivan is not going to gain positions in the championship. You want to have a battle in your last potential race in F2, so why not? And I've got to say, majority of these guys started off their league racing career because they want to have some fun. And if you have fun in your final race, then that is still pretty good. I know it may not be for the win or anything like that, but for them it probably will feel like a win at this stage as well. Look at this, we can see Will as well in this fight as well. I think we've got like 4 cars, well 2 cars, I think a few cars are lapped though as well. But yeah, 3 cars in this train. I'm excited for this. We've got a battle for P15 and a battle for the win, and we've got a battle for podiums as well. This could get intense. I'm not going to look at penalties. I just want things to be an absolute shot to me right now. But here we go. We've got Greeny trying to make the move past Skivan into turn 1. They almost made a mistake there. Greeny is one of the F2 admins of PSGL F2, going up against the PSGL F2 veteran. It's just great that they're both of these guys that are well known to F2, that are good friends, of course, trying to go for these moves. We do have a yellow flag,
it's Name Changer.
It's Name Changer, our race leader, who's just spun. I think he tried to defend from the inside, and obviously when you defend on the inside around this track, you do tend to go off worse, which I found out. So that's probably why Name Changer is dropping down, which means Cedric is in the lead, and more importantly, Big C on this final race in PSGL F2 could be getting a podium.
I really hope that Big C can end up in P3, and it'd be even nicer if he could take the win, because that would be a brilliant send-off for a legend in league racing. But for the moment, Cedric is leading a Grand Prix, and
that's amazing.
Well, as one of the managers at Mentors, and of course I've worked closely with Cedric. He's a brilliant driver. He's got great talent, so it's really good to see him finally getting a chance at a win. And now Greeny's actually retired. They've had a crash. That won't bring up the safety car because it's way too late in the Grand Prix. I have no clue what they have done there.
I didn't see. Oh, okay. He's spun in turn 1. Weird, I think, Skivan. I don't know, because Skivan's dropped a bit as well. I think he did exactly the same thing to what I think Name Changer did. He just went for the inside again and just had a bit of a spinneroony. So that was unfortunate, but that puts off our battle for P15. But maybe someone spun.
Oh, Cedric
spun. Oh no, and Big C's gone off with him as well. Almost.
It's a Haas 1 too.
Yeah, it's a Haas 1 too.
Off.
Oh my god, there's so much drama happening in PSGL F2 at the moment. And we've got Benny and Big C fighting for the win for the final few laps of this Grand Prix. What is going on? Cedric's got a 10-second time penalty. That probably might get removed unless he completely cut the corner. But Big C could be on course to be winning a race. Benny could be on course to winning the race. I think whoever gets this race win will be well deserving of that crown. Benny could get his first one. maybe Pat's still on course to getting his first one. I haven't seen much penalties from him, but Big C, he just can't take any risks at this moment in time. He just can't. He's just got to keep it on the track. I think for some of these guys, I don't know, Dario could be on course getting his win. I literally don't know what's going to happen. As Cedric's out of the race, I think we've commentators cursed 2 drivers here tonight, both of them who I've wanted to get the race win tonight, and they just, unfortunately, they made a mistake.
On Pat.
And Pat spun as well. There's so many people making mistakes. Is it the medium tyres and some of the hard tyres struggling a little bit maybe? We don't know. Maybe they just letting the pressure get to them. We don't know, but there's just so much happening. And if you think this is a lot of drama, watch for PSGL F1 because there's going to be some insane battles. And CC Brain has gone off as well. What is happening? I literally don't know what's going on. I literally do not know what's going on. I think we could, I think some of these guys have got punches. I don't know. It's hard to tell because I don't know why some of these guys have gone off, but it will be interesting to find out, of course. But let's watch the battle for the race win. It's Big C versus Benny. Who would have thought it? Big C goes to the right. I think Benny's going to defend to the inside. Hopefully no touching, and Big C on the final lap takes the lead, but Benny's going to have the DRS. Benny's going to have the advantage, but Benny has less ERS. I think Big C has less ERS as well. I think Benny's going to stay behind for now. Meanwhile, Tomato is in 5th position on the soft tyres. He's having a comeback of dreams right now. Don't forget, he started in last place due to a disqualification. That is insane. And CC Brain is out of the race, unfortunately. So both Ferrari drivers are out, but they're in P2 in the Constructors' Championship, so they got nothing to lose. Tomato and Dario going side by side. 2 have won a race so far. They touch. Oh my God, what's going on? Dario has spun. We're going to watch, I think, the battle for the win, I think, I've got to say. But Benny is pulling away right now. But what a way to end your league racing career like this. I don't think you will be expecting this going into the final race of the season. Big C in the Mercedes wraps up his league racing career on F1 2020 in style. On track at least. He wins a Brazilian Grand Prix and he's going to keep that race win. What a drive from the 7-time PSGL F1 champion. He is a race winner at last. He breaks his winningless streak. I can't remember when he last won. Did you know when he last won in PSGL?
I actually don't know. But one thing I do know is got a big gleaming smile across my face. It has been an honour to commentate over such a legend in the F1 community. Big C going out in style with the win. And what a race it was for him. I'm so pleased that he can... oh, look at this. Ski Van's going to have a nice little bit. That is beautiful.
That is fantastic. Going to
celebrate.
It's Ski Van's final race too, yeah. It's Ski Van's final race as well. I think Big C would have done the same if he wasn't in a position to win. But yeah, Ski Van... you can't forget Ski Van in a way either. We could talk about Big C all day, but Ski Van's another legend of PSGL F2. He's done phenomenal. Last season, he did fantastically, and he's had lots of other great seasons as well. And I think even though he did not have the race of dreams, he had some great battles along the way, and he's going to be missed as well. So Ski Van, bravo. And driver of the day goes to our PSGL F2 champion, Shizu Tomato, and to be honest, I'm not really that surprised after coming from last on the grid. But wow, what a race. I can't believe it's over. What a race to end it on, Dan.
Yeah, and well, the season's over. We've got nothing to do on a Monday night.
For a while.
That's quite sad.
It does feel good. It's a bittersweet moment, I've got to say, but we've got three deserving people on the podium. We've got Big C, the legend himself. We've got, we've got the Haas cars, there was some showing of some pace at the start, a bit of dip towards the middle, and then towards the end, that's where they were really shining. And Faz as well, who's had some great performances this season. So these three deserving on the podium. Tomato with a 4th place again. Well deserving. So your final results for PSGL F2 Season 26. I can't believe I'm saying this. Big C is on the top step of the podium with Benny in 2nd, Faz in 3rd, Tomato 4th, Pat in 5th, the Key 2 6th, then we got Hadler in 7th, Name Changer in 8th, And I don't know, I think I've got to say, I can confirm this. Red Bull are ahead of McLaren in the constructors. We got Bugatti and Knight, Simo in 10th, then we got Dario Compassion, Royal CC Brain and Skiban, and your retirements are Cedric Greeny, Chapelady, Kurat and Gonanen. And it's just great to see the support in the chat. And we got Big C's older teammate and good friend Midnight in the chat as well, being very pleased with them. Don't forget they were teammates at the start of the season, and it's just great to see guys supporting fellow teammates as well, even if they weren't a part of the season. I do miss Midnight racing. Maybe Midnight may come back for PSGL one day, but yeah, that is the end of PSGL season 26. What did you make of this season, Dan?
You know what, this season has been absolutely brilliant to commentate over, and I'd like to thank you for giving me this opportunity to commentate alongside you for this season. If I didn't message you, I wouldn't be here in this situation, so I'm glad that I managed to DM you and just say, do you need a co-commentator? And well, the rest is history. Thank you everyone for enjoying our streams and watching along with us in this season. It's been brilliant. It's my first season commentating, and I believe it's your first season commentating in F2. And what a season to commentate over.
I think to be honest, I've got to say, it's been one of my favourite leagues to commentate on, full stop. I think since I've started commentary, it's been so close. And I'd just like to say thank you to Big C for giving us both the opportunity to commentate for such a great league, which is growing season after season. So thank you so much. Also thanks to our league admins as well. We couldn't have done it without them as well. Greeny and CC Brain, of course. CC Brain doing the graphics as well that you see every week. They put a lot of time and effort into F2 as well, making sure the standings are done in time, making sure people know where they are in the leagues, and making sure that everyone is happy and all that, and getting the car selections done as well. They are the F2 legends as well, so thank you very much for them. Also, thank you to all the other league admins as well, and thanks to all the commentators, and thanks to all you lot for watching. But I'm not going to leave you guys hanging for a bit longer. We've got Tomato that's probably going to be celebrating with his £30 with Brutal Democracy's winning, so well done to him. But make sure you watch PSGL F1 right now, because we've got the Championship Battle of Dreams happening really soon. We've only got 2 people that can do it. Make sure you join us right now as Owen Wyatt and Austin take you through the action. It is CRG and Matthias versus Gil for the crown. Gil is the favourite to win this, but Onyx could still have a shout. Before we end the stream, who do you think is going to win F1?
Between Gil and Matthias, I have no idea. Those two are so closely matched. But you know what? Just out of the two, I'm going to say Gil's going to take it.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I think I'm usually, if I predict, they bin it, so I'm not going to say things much. But make sure you check out PSGL F1 right now. I'm going to definitely watch it. I think you're going to watch it as well. And for the final time, thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Dan, for joining me as always. And I really do hope we get to commentate again next season with each other. I think it's been great.
Yeah, I hope we can have the opportunity to do so again in front of a lot of these drivers and watch them and commentate over them again.
Yeah, we will have to wait and see, but make sure you watch F1 and F3. Watch the championship deciders for the final race of the season 26. But we will see you for some more PSGL action on the beginning of December in Australia. That's going to be the first race of season 27 in a few weeks' time. On, I think it's November 23rd, we will find out who is placing what tier, so make sure you find out then as well. But we will leave you with the PSGL F1 stream. Make sure you check it out for the championship decider around Brazil. We will see you in about a couple of weeks for season 27. Goodbye.